Arsenal is planning something massive. After nearly 2 decades at the Emirates Stadium, the club is ready to transform their home into one of Europe's biggest football arenas. We're talking about adding up to 20,000 seats, spending potentially £500 million, and possibly moving to Wembley for 2 seasons while construction happens. The plans have been in development for over a year, and they could reshape North London football forever. Arsenal want to compete with the mega stadiums being built and expanded across the Premier League, and they need the revenue to match their ambitions on the pitch. So, let's break down exactly what's happening, why it matters, and what it means for the future of Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal's Emirates Stadium currently holds 60,704 fans, making it the 5th largest venue in the Premier League. When it opened in 2006, only Old Trafford was bigger. Nearly 20 years later, Arsenal have been overtaken. Tottenham's new stadium seats 62,850. West Ham's London Stadium holds 62,500. Anfield, after Liverpool's expansion, now accommodates 61,276 fans. Manchester City are actively expanding the Etihad Stadium, and their work continues into 2025. Even more concerning for Arsenal is Manchester United's exploration of building a completely new 100,000 capacity stadium that could cost £2 billion. The competitive landscape has shifted dramatically, and Arsenal risk being left behind. The real crisis shows up in the numbers. Arsenal currently has approximately 100,000 supporters on their season ticket waiting list. For every person sitting in the Emirates on match day, there's nearly 2 more who want to be there but can't get in. Every single home game sells out, and the club turns away thousands of potential customers week after week. From a business perspective alone, this represents millions in lost revenue annually. Arsenal's 2023-2024 financial results showed record revenues of £617 million, driven by their return to the Champions League and consistent performance under Mikel Arteta. Matchday revenue accounts for a significant portion of that total, with the club generating approximately £4.2 million per home game. That figure includes ticket sales, hospitality packages, premium seating, food, beverages, and merchandise sold on matchday. Expanding the stadium to between 75,000 and 80,000 seats could push that per-game revenue to around £5.5 million. Over a full season with 19 Premier League home games, plus domestic cups and European fixtures, that difference adds up to tens of millions of pounds annually. The financial pressure has intensified because of UEFA's financial sustainability regulations, which link how much clubs can spend on players directly to their revenue. Arsenal are competing with Manchester City, whose owners have virtually unlimited resources, and clubs like Newcastle, who are building their commercial empires. To keep pace in the transfer market and maintain their squad quality, Arsenal need every revenue stream maximized. The waiting list proves demand exists. The question is whether Arsenal can meet it before their rivals pull even further ahead. The plans didn't emerge overnight, and the engineering challenges ahead are unlike anything Arsenal have faced before. Arsenal's site constraints make this expansion particularly complex. The Emirates sits in a dense urban area of North London, with limited room to expand outward. The club has essentially 2 viable approaches, and both require significant structural intervention. The first option involves redesigning the roof structure to build upward. This would mean dismantling or heavily modifying the existing roof, then constructing a new upper tier that wraps around the stadium bowl. The engineering would be extraordinarily complex because the current roof wasn't designed to support additional weight from extra tiers. The benefit is obvious. Arsenal could add 15,000 to 20,000 seats without touching the lower stands, meaning minimal disruption to the existing seating bowl and fan experience. The downside is equally clear. Modifying a roof structure on an active stadium ranks among the most challenging projects in the stadium architecture. It would require precision engineering, extensive safety measures, and likely take several years to complete properly. Construction would need to happen in phases during off-seasons, with sections of the stadium potentially closed while work progresses above. The second option takes the opposite approach by going downward. Arsenal would lower the pitch level and excavate beneath the existing stadium to create an additional inner tier or bring fans closer to the action. This method could improve sightlines throughout the venue while adding capacity without altering the stadium's external profile. Neighbors wouldn't see a taller structure looming over North London, which could help with planning permissions. However, digging beneath an operational stadium presents its own nightmare scenario. Drainage systems would need complete redesign. Foundation work becomes incredibly delicate when you're undermining existing structures. Access routes for fans, players, and staff would require reconfiguration. Most significantly, lowering the pitch would force temporary capacity reductions while excavation and construction happen, costing Arsenal matchday revenue during the work. Neither option offers a simple solution. The build-up approach prioritizes capacity and revenue continuity, but demands cutting-edge engineering and years of overhead construction. The dig-down method provides architectural subtlety and improved fan proximity, but risks foundation issues and guaranteed capacity loss during construction. Arsenal haven't publicly committed to either direction yet, suggesting they're still weighing the trade-offs between cost, timeline, disruption, and final capacity figures. Regardless of which path Arsenal choose, the target remains consistent, reaching 75,000 to 80,000 total capacity. That would make the Emirates the largest club stadium in London, surpassing Tottenham's venue, and position Arsenal among Europe's elite stadium capacities alongside Barcelona's Camp Nou, Real Madrid's Santiago Bernabeu, and Manchester United's potential new ground. But here's where the plans get really controversial. Arsenal are seriously considering abandoning the Emirates entirely for 2 full seasons. Recent reports from The Telegraph and Sky Sports revealed that Arsenal are exploring a temporary relocation to Wembley Stadium during construction. This isn't just speculation anymore. The club has held discussions about using Wembley as their home ground for potentially 2 complete seasons, while major structural work happens at the Emirates. Wembley holds 90,000 fans, which would actually give Arsenal a massive capacity increase during the transition period. The revenue implications are significant. If Arsenal could fill even 70,000 seats per game at Wembley, they'd be generating more matchday income during construction than they currently do at the Emirates. The logistics are already proven, as Arsenal regularly play FA Cup semi-finals and Community Shield matches there. Wembley's transport infrastructure is designed for massive crowds, with Wembley Park and Wembley Stadium stations handling tens of thousands of fans efficiently. However, the proposal has sparked immediate backlash among supporters. Wembley sits in northwest London, approximately 8 miles from the Emirates, but for many Arsenal fans, particularly those living in North London or traveling from outside the city, it represents a significant change in accessibility. Season ticket holders who've built routines around Highbury and Islington, Finsbury Park, or Arsenal tube stations would face completely different journeys. The Northern Line to Holloway Road or Highbury and Islington runs frequently and connects to various parts of London. Getting to Wembley requires the Metropolitan or Jubilee lines, which don't serve the same areas as effectively for Arsenal's traditional fan base. Beyond logistics, there's the emotional factor. Wembley is considered a neutral venue, a place for cup finals and England matches. Playing league games there for 2 years would strip away the home atmosphere that makes the Emirates intimidating for visiting teams. The tunnel walk, the Arsenal branding throughout the concourses, the familiar sightlines, all of that disappears at Wembley. Fans worry about losing the connection to North London that defines Arsenal's identity, even temporarily. Arsenal's previous stadium move offers some context. When they left Highbury for the Emirates in 2006, the transition was permanent and necessary for the club's growth. Fans accepted it because Highbury had become too small and outdated. This situation is different. The Emirates remains a modern, functional stadium. Asking fans to relocate twice in 20 years feels excessive to many supporters, especially when other clubs like Liverpool have managed major expansions without leaving Anfield. Liverpool's approach offers an alternative model. When they expanded the main stand between 2015 and 2016, they reduced capacity temporarily but stayed at Anfield throughout construction. The work happened during the summer, and while some disruption occurred, fans never had to change their matchday routines fundamentally. Arsenal could theoretically adopt a similar phased approach. closing sections of the Emirates while keeping most seats available. But that would extend the construction timeline significantly and potentially limit how much capacity they can ultimately add. The Wembley debate ultimately comes down to ambition versus tradition. Moving to Wembley enables faster, more aggressive construction and potentially a more dramatic capacity increase. Staying at the Emirates preserves the club's North London identity and keeps fans in familiar territory, but makes the project slower and more complicated. The decision Arsenal makes about location directly affects the financial model, and the numbers involved are staggering. Arsenal is looking at spending between £400 million and £500 million on this expansion, with some reports pushing estimates toward the higher end of that range. To put that in perspective, the original Emirates Stadium construction in 2004 to 2006 cost £390 million. Arsenal is essentially planning to spend more on renovating their stadium than they spent building it from scratch 2 decades ago. The increased cost reflects both inflation and the technical complexity of modifying an existing structure. Building a stadium on an empty plot of land is fundamentally easier than expanding one that's already standing, especially when that stadium needs to remain operational during construction. Every phase of work requires additional safety measures, temporary structures, and coordination to avoid disrupting matches. Labor costs in construction have risen dramatically since 2006, and the specialized engineering required for roof modifications or foundation work commands premium pricing. Arsenal's financial position makes the investment feasible, but still challenging. Their £617 million revenue in 2023-2024 was a club record, but they also carry debt from the original stadium construction that wasn't fully paid off until recently. Taking on another £400 to £500 million project requires careful financial planning and likely involves financing arrangements with banks or investment partners. Josh Kroenke, son of Arsenal owner Stan Kroenke and a key figure in the club's decision-making, has publicly acknowledged the expansion is under serious consideration, but no formal announcement has been made about funding sources. The timeline remains uncertain, but comparisons to other Premier League expansions offer clues. Liverpool's main stand expansion took approximately 3 years from initial planning to completion. Manchester City's ongoing Etihad expansion began in 2023 and is projected to finish in 2025 or beyond. If Arsenal commits to the project in 2025, even an aggressive schedule wouldn't see completion until 2027 or 2028. But a more realistic timeline, especially if they choose the phased approach and stay at the Emirates, could see the project pushed into the late 2020s. So, what do you think about Arsenal's ambitious expansion plans? Would you support a temporary move to Wembley if it meant getting a world-class 80,000-seat capacity stadium? Let us know in the comments below, and please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting projects like this. Until next time, stay curious.